Have you ever felt watched in your own home? Not just a quick shiver when you're alone, but a heavy, crawling feeling, like eyes are pressing into your back. I used to laugh at stuff like that. Ghosts? Shadows? Just stories. But then it happened to me, and now I'm not so sure. Let me tell you my story. By the end, you might think twice before checking upstairs when you hear something strange. It was a late night, the kind where the house feels too big and too quiet. I was alone, curled up on the couch with a blanket, flipping through a book I couldn't really focus on. The clock ticked too loud, and outside, the wind scratched at the windows like fingernails. Then I heard it, a soft thud from upstairs, from the roof space above my head. My whole body went still. My heart thumped once, hard, then raced. I told myself it was nothing, maybe a loose board or a squirrel on the roof. But then it came again, thud, 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 slow and steady, like someone pacing back and forth, heavy shoes on old wood. I sat there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for it to stop. It didn't. That sound pulled at me, like a thread tugging my curiosity, or maybe my fear. I grabbed my flashlight off the table, the metal cold in my sweaty hand. Its light shook as I stood up. The stairs to the roof space waited down the hall. The little door cracked open just enough to show a sliver of black. I swear I didn't leave it like that. I took a deep breath and started climbing. Every step creaked, loud in the stillness, like the house was groaning at me to turn back. The air got colder, sharper, sticking to my skin. I pushed the door wider, and it squeaked, a long, whining sound that made my teeth hurt. Dust floated down, tiny specks glowing in the flashlight's beam. I coughed, my throat dry, and stepped into the upstairs space. The room smelled old, wet wood and forgotten things. Boxes were piled everywhere, covered in gray dust. A broken chair sat crooked in the corner, one leg snapped off. Nothing weird, right? Just junk. But then I saw it. A shadow slid across the boxes, fast, like it didn't want me to catch it. My chest tightened. The flashlight flickered, just for a heartbeat, and the room went black. When the light popped back on, the shadow was gone. Who's there? I whispered, my voice wobbly. The quiet swallowed it up. No answer, just a thick, waiting silence that pressed against my ears. I took a step, my sneakers kicking up dust clouds. The flashlight's beam jumped around, lighting up the messy stacks of boxes. My heartbeat thundered in my head. Then I saw it again, the shadow, closer now, darting behind another pile. I didn't want to follow, but my feet moved anyway, like something was pulling me deeper in. That's when I saw the face. Pale as moonlight, with eyes like black holes staring right into me. It smiled, a slow, creepy grin that stretched too far across its face. My stomach flipped. My knees wobbled, and I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. It rolled away, spinning crazy beams of light that caught the figure in flashes, pale skin, twisted limbs. This wasn't some burglar. It looked like it belonged to the house, like it grew out of the shadows, its face flickering between shapes, human 1 second, something else the next. It moved all wrong, jerky and fast, like a puppet with cut strings. I hit the wall, trapped. The door slammed shut with a bang that shook the floor. Darkness rushed in, thick and heavy, like it wanted to smother me. I've been waiting for you, it whispered. The voice scraped like rusty metal, echoing all around me, like it came from the walls themselves. I tried to scream, but my throat locked up. Was this real? A nightmare? The figure lunged, and I ducked, scrambling for the door. My hands clawed at the handle. It wouldn't turn. Stuck. Or held tight by something I couldn't see. The flashlight blinked again, and in that split-second blackout, I felt its breath, icy, stinking of dirt and old bones, right on my neck. I swung my arm wild, hitting something hard. A wet crunch echoed, and the figure hissed, its shape blurring like smoke in the wind. Then the room changed. The upstairs stretched out, walls bending away into a black nothingness. The boxes warped, melting into twisted shapes, faces, hands, things that shouldn't be. The air buzzed with a hum I felt in my teeth, thick with the smell of time, dusty years piling up around me. This thing wasn't just stuck here, it was lost, caught in some endless loop, reaching for me like I was its way out. Those empty eyes weren't just watching, they were begging, or maybe hunting, across centuries I couldn't even imagine. I don't know how, but I yanked the door open, tumbling down the stairs in a panic. I didn't look back, I couldn't. I bolted through the house, the floorboards shaking under me, and burst out the front door into the night. The cold hit me like a slap. I fumbled my phone out, hands shaking so bad I could barely press the buttons. I called the police. No ring, no voice, just dead silence. I tried again, but the screen went black, even though it was charged an hour ago. Then the streetlights blinked out, one by one, like candles snuffed out. The world went pitch dark, silent except for my gasping breaths. I glanced back. My house loomed there, a black shape with the upstairs window glowing faintly, like it was staring at me. I ran to the neighbor's house, feet pounding, lungs burning. The night felt wrong, like it was chasing me. I hammered on their door, the wood icy against my fists. No lights, no sounds inside. The door creaked open a crack, and a face peeked out, not my neighbor's. A stranger, eyes glinting like they knew too much. "You shouldn't have touched that box," they said, voice flat and cold, before the door slammed shut. The dark pressed closer, alive now, wrapping around me. Whatever was upstairs wasn't locked in my house anymore. It was out here. Maybe it always had been. I stumbled away, legs shaking, running blind through the night. The dark wasn't just empty, it moved, whispered, brushed against me like cold fingers. I didn't know where to go, just kept moving, breath puffing out in little white bursts. The street was dead, no cars, no lights, like the whole town had vanished. I reached the park, hoping for someone, anyone. The swing swayed slow, creaking in the dark. I stopped, chest heaving, scanning the shadows. Then I saw it. A lone street lamp flickering on, its weak light cutting through the black. I ran to it, clinging to that tiny glow like it could save me. But when I got close, the light showed more than I wanted. A figure stood there, back to me, dressed in old, ragged clothes, faded, like they'd been worn for years. Their shape shimmered, half there, half gone. "Hey!" I called, voice cracking. It turned, slow and deliberate. That face, the same one from upstairs, grinned at me, sharper now, eyes burning with something ancient. The light died, and the whisper hit me again, loud in my skull. "You woke me. You're mine now." I backed up, tripping over my own feet. This wasn't just my house's ghost. It was something bigger, older, a piece of time that didn't belong here, pulling me into its endless trap. I turned and ran, yelling into the night, but the dark ate my voice. The feeling of being watched clung to me, heavy as wet clothes. I kept running, searching for light, for help, for a way out. But deep down, I knew some things, once stirred awake, don't sleep again. They chase you, they wait, they watch. That was the last thing I felt before the dark swallowed me whole. 1 second, I was running, then nothing. But I woke up, standing in my living room again. The book sat open on the couch, the upstairs door cracked, a thin line of light spilling out. Time hadn't moved, or maybe it had twisted back on itself. The quiet roared in my ears. I wasn't alone. My feet dragged me to the stairs, like something pulled me up. At the top, the room was the same, box open, junk scattered. But the figure sat there now, head bowed, not grinning but sad. "You're part of it now," it said, voice soft, echoing like wind through old trees. "You see it, you keep it going." The air sparkled, and pictures flashed in my head, people from years past, all climbing these stairs, all facing this thing, all running only to end up back here. I wasn't just scared, I was tied to it, caught in a trap of time that looped forever. The flashes stopped, and I felt it, a tug, pulling me to fight or fall deeper in. I chose to fight. I stepped to the box, hands steady now, digging through the mess for a way to stop this, for me, for them. But as I grabbed something cold and heavy, the dark crashed in, and that thud, thud, thud started again upstairs. I got it then. The real fear wasn't just the thing watching. It was the loop, the never-ending fight between running away and facing it. Could I break it? Or was I stuck forever? I'd keep trying, keep searching for light, for me, and for every soul caught before and after. That's the last thing I knew before the dark took me again, leaving me with one promise: I'd fight, I'd end this, or I'd watch forever in this endless night. So, as I tell you this, let it sink in, not just a spooky tale, but a heads up. Watch out for the quiet in your house, the shadows that feel too thick, the strange pulls from places you don't go. Some secrets should stay buried, some circles unbroken. If you ever feel that cold sense of eyes on you, think hard. Maybe you're not just living your day but stepping into something huge, something older than you can guess. Next time you're alone at night and hear that soft thud from upstairs or the roof space, Stop and think before you climb up. Poke around the unknown, and you might get trapped, a watcher in your own home, chasing a way out of a darkness that never lets go.